This podcast is sponsored by Dis-Chem Living Fit, with a wide range of health products and supplements tailored to your needs. Whatever your needs are, whatever stage in your health and fitness journey you're in, Dis-Chem Living Fit has the products for you. Back to the show. I saw JP was doing some podcasts in Dubai.
Oh yeah, he was with his coach, Callum, but he's also done one with you before.
Yes,
Yeah,
and Stephanie,
him and
yeah.
Steph, before they left, yeah.
How long have you been with them?
So I started with Steph in 2019, I think, and I actually moved to JP this year, the beginning of this year. Not many people know yet, well, until now, but I was with her from 2019, and then before they left, we both made the decision that I should move over to JP purely because of the plans that we had for this year.
But you also are world class, as you're number 3 in the world now.
Yes,
for your division.
I am. Yeah.
Which is world class. So it's not like you need to get to that level, you're already there.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't really think of myself as this world class, person. I always want to be better and work towards better.
I think but you're always going to be like that, even if you are even placing first. Mm-hmm. You might say, okay, cool, I've won, but you're not going to ever be complacent to be like, okay, well, the work's done, because the moment you're at any level in your physique, and that's actually something I want to talk about, is you're never going to be happy or satisfied, and that is difficult, and every single human on earth goes through that, regardless of the career path, even if it's outside bodybuilding.
Even if it's a sprinter, or every athlete or every person somewhere in a career or with a goal goes through that.
And it's difficult because I've gone through it, you've gone through it, anyone has gone through it, where even people that aren't interested in going to the gym and training, they still will, in times in their life, look at themselves and be unhappy with how they look. Mm-hmm. So how have you built a healthier relationship with understanding the seasons of competing and understanding? Because actually the one post you made where you said you posted that after your show or something and you weren't really happy with how you looked, but then going back and looking at it, you saw how great you actually looked.
Yes, so that's happened quite a few times. I guess also a lot of people that aren't in bodybuilding just don't understand. I'm judged throughout the year, especially by people in the fitness industry. I get it a lot at the gym. In my off season, people will be like, why are you thick now? What's going on? Why have you put on weight? And then I transform quite quickly because of my discipline to stick to my diet and my training to get to a stage look in a certain amount of time. So when I drop that weight, people are also like, you're so thin now, you're so lean, what's going on? So it's not really about, people will talk regardless of how you're looking, but it is sometimes it does get in your head. I mean, especially last year, it was probably the leanest I've ever been for stage at Worlds, and I still didn't think I was lean enough in my head.
Can I interrupt? That post, I don't know if Gold's Gym posted it today, where you're giving posing advice, or if it was the other day, whenever. How far out from the show was that? Because your midsection, your abs there look crazy.
Yeah, that was in the week that was in my peak week.
Because I'll be honest, I'm not really good at giving people compliments. I often don't look at people but their midsection looks really good, and yours honestly did look really good there.
Yeah, that was done in the week of my show. This show was a bit different. The prep went completely at first it was going well, and then JP and Steph obviously moved to Dubai. I was sending my check-ins, and then I went over to Dubai and they saw me in person, and the photos, I don't edit my photos or anything, but on the app it did somehow look leaner than what I was. So JP was like, look, we have to, kind of go to some drastic measures in order to get you conditioned enough for the show. So I was in and out of my head about it for some time, and I decided, no, we're going to push for it. So the package that I brought to Arnold's this year was a lot fuller because I did put on muscle from last year. But I definitely wasn't as lean as I feel I could have been.
So, because most of the criticism, I think, also largely comes from ourselves. So I know, let's say I post a photo where maybe I'm not as lean and it gets less likes. I will automatically assume it's gotten less likes, so people must think I look bad. So they must, be thinking negatively of me. And then you get in your own head thinking, I don't look good, I look bad. So sometimes it almost starts with you to not allow certain outside aspects to control how you feel about yourself. And
Exactly.
you have to do that because, especially in an industry, even in social media in general, where you're posting those photos of showing how you look and your progress and your life, there's gonna feel times where you think people are judging you, and they might not actually. You just actually judging yourself.
Yes. I think as well with being in this industry particularly, where you're so you are a little bit obsessive of your body and how you look, and you always want to look good so that people don't judge you. At first, when I would hear the comments, it did get to me, but it's just, I know what I am and I know what I need to do to be my best for a show. So if I have to go into an off season and maybe get a little bit bigger, so when I shred again I can have more muscle pop, then I'll do that. And I have blocked out the noise a lot.
But it's funny how when it comes to dieting and the body, obsessive seems negative. Where if it's business or if it's obsessive on trying to be the best mom, where you're hyper obsessive, it's not as seen as bad. But because it's hyper obsessive about how you look, not because you're trying to seek validation as much as you're trying to set goals for yourself and you're holding yourself to a high standard. So that's the difficult thing, is people will automatically think more negatively about a hyper obsessive person when it's about their body. Whereas you're just setting goals and it's a means for you to set goals and reach them.
Yes. And also there's this stigma around it that it's vanity and that we think so highly of ourselves, where as in
it's
reality,
probably the opposite.
It's actually the complete opposite. We're always judging ourselves and always obviously you see other athletes on social media and you're always thinking I can, do better. I want to be better. And yeah, I don't think it's vain at all. I think that you need to look at yourself and you need to see where you need to progress for yourself.
And it's the same as anything where it's a stereotype. So essentially there's been a group of people within bodybuilding maybe that are hyper obsessive in a negative way for vanity reasons. And then there's a large portion that aren't.
Yeah.
So it's just people stereotyping bodybuilders essentially, or people that look after themselves as a negative. And it's funny because people will judge someone if they go out and don't drink, whereas no one's judging the people that go out and get really drunk.
This is I always have these conversations with people because when I'm on prep, and if I'm really depleted, I don't go out. It's really difficult to socialize. But when I tried doing that, and then you get those people that are like, it's just one shot, just have it. And then you don't take it, and it's you're being judged for, wanting to live a healthier, different lifestyle. Whereas I just don't feel like people judge the unhealthier lifestyles as much.
Yeah, it's weird that the more difficult choices are the ones that come under the most scrutiny.
And I feel like it is like that because a lot of people can't do it. So they just judge other people that are trying to do it.
So, in terms of shutting out the noise and, let's look at, because when you're in your off season, there might be the most noise, negative noise.
Mm-hmm.
There might be the most people saying, you've put on weight, what's going on? It was actually terrible. It was probably the one time I remember the most. So I had just finished a show and I saw a friend from school, and he saw my face. He's like, "Did you just have your wisdoms out?" And I hadn't. And I was just like, okay, well, clearly I've let myself go just a bit too much.
Yeah, it always shows in the face, and that's where I hold some of my weight in my face as well, so I can see it instantly, and that's how a lot of people will also be like. But so many people like aren't scared to tell me, like, look, in the gym, like you're not as lean or something, and then it really does affect you, because when you are stage lean and you're used to looking like that, you want to stay like that. I have quite a bit of anxiety coming off of stage now from Arnold's, because for 3 years straight I've done show after show after show, like full year. I've been on prep basically for 3 years.
Which is tough.
It is tough. And this year I said to myself, I just want to actually have a bit of a break from competing for a while, like maybe a few months, just to also like live, balanced normal life without going from show to show to show. And since I finished Arnold's, it's like, at first I felt a bit lost, and now it's just that anxiety of keeping that balance and not, putting on, because after show, you can put on weight so quickly because your body's so used to being so like small and so lean. So
because our bodies essentially are not supposed to be that lean.
Yeah, well, you're going to survival mode, especially with the water drops. Last year I was actually hospitalized because I did 4 shows in a row, and there was a show a month, and by the 4th water drop my body was like, no, it's time. So it puts a lot of strain on your body at times, depending on how you're prepping.
It's only maybe the last few weeks of the show that are actually the most strain.
Yes. So it's also, I think that's also what makes, it easier to look like you've put on weight, because you've dropped your water and everything. Now you start having carbs. A lot of people don't get into their diet slowly. They just go all in. That's what I did once, and then you kind of blow up a bit.
Do you want to take a sip of your Monster? Shame you haven't had a
you.
chance. We're sitting here with Jenna Brust. I thought it was always Brust. Brust.
Everyone gets it wrong. It's Brust.
Brust. I only learned that, I don't know, that you posted a video where you were... Yes.
I know, and I got so many comments after that saying, I thought it was Brust. And because people will say Brust and I just don't correct them.
What nationality is your dad? Well, what's the surname from?
So I'm half Ashkenazi and half Portuguese, so Jewish. So Ashkenazi is it's Jews from Eastern Europe, and my mom's side's Portuguese, but I was brought up Jewish.
Okay, and your parents, were they born in South Africa?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were both born here. Yeah.
Do you ever go to Portugal or?
I've never been to Portugal. I have traveled quite a bit, but
is that mainly for like competing purposes and holidays?
Competing and holidays, yeah.
So is there family abroad that you've ever visited?
Basically all my family is abroad, in the UK, America, Russia, some in Germany, but yeah, we've got like the immediate family is here.
And now, with, having competed subsequently for 3 years and wanting a little bit of a break, you've obviously learned mechanisms to be able to not rebound as much. Mm-hmm. So maybe for people, what things have you learned in terms of compensating and, making sure that you don't blow up and look like you've had your wisdoms removed like I did?
So I think that what really helped me is that after shows, you always think like...
I'm going to move that a bit closer. Sorry. Here we go.
After shows, I would always like binge, because I only had like 2 days off, and then I'd start prep again like the Monday for the next show. So when I did have that gap or that month gap where I knew, okay, like I can... Because you do become a bit food obsessed as well when you on prep. Like my Instagram page is just full of like food pages. And what helped me is that I realized that the food and the treats and everything are always going to be there. You can have it whenever. There doesn't have to be this window where you have to shove your face. Like, just take it slow, go into a reverse diet slowly, and just like get your body used to like those foods again, because before you go on stage, you're just basically eating like proteins and minimal carbs, and then afterwards people just hit the carbs and the sugar. So I would just say go into it slowly and just adapt and get your body used to it.
Which is easier said than done, and it does take a lot of willpower. And that's what's interesting is you've been showing so much willpower leading up to the show, and you've been so dedicated. But because after the show, there's no date coming where it's like, okay, well, I'm going on stage right away again. It's more difficult to. And that's also where, it becomes slightly depressive after a show, because it's kind of that anticlimax of like, what now?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's also like, well, I can eat, so let me eat.
Yeah, it's the post-comp blues.
Yeah.
I felt so lost the week after Arnold's. I was like, what is my purpose now? But it's just because it was always like onto the next show and onto the next show. And you also, when you're in that tunnel vision, you don't really see other things. Whereas now I've taken a step back and, I'm really enjoying training again. When you're really depleted, you're basically training because you have to, not because you like really want to go to the gym. I would rather be napping because your body is like just so low. And yeah, I mean, after that, I took a step back and I like thought about other things that I've been wanting to do for a long time that I haven't had the, energy to do. So I'm enjoying this part now as well.
And that's also something that you develop as, let's just say, your career develops, and you've obviously experienced it, is seeing that not everything in your life needs to be excluded during prep.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, sometimes it's difficult, but, I've had certain people in my life, when I was coaching, they would say, my friends want to go play touch rugby after, and it was touch rugby. So it wasn't even contact rugby. So there's no risk of getting injured really. And he was like 12 weeks out. He's like, should I say, no, I can't go because of prep? I was like, bro, you told me many times how much you love rugby. Yeah. You're 12 weeks out. You've got enough energy to go play touch rugby. Like, just go do that. You mustn't completely disregard everything else in your life, every other passion, just because of a show. Obviously, in the week of the show, maybe don't, because then you're going to be burning extra calories, that kind of stuff. Even maybe, a month before, but there was no risk of injury other than burning more calories, but you're 12 weeks out. So you do need to find that median in between where you can still enjoy your life and do exciting things.
Exactly. Because sometimes, but I'm sure this is for every athlete, sometimes the world does go a bit black and white. So you do definitely need to keep those things that you enjoy doing, try and keep them in your routine as much as possible so that there is still like light in your day and you are still, enjoying certain things. But I feel like in that saying, guys, I feel like a prep for a guy is obviously different to a prep for a girl. Whereas with me, unfortunately, my body adapts only if carbs are taken out. And obviously carbs are energy. So that's why I just feel it, or I feel like I feel it a bit more. And I can't do as much with activity because I just physically don't have the energy for it.
What things do you enjoy during prep that maybe don't require lots of energy? Like, what are your passions that you can take your mind off the looming date of a show? Like, what kind of things do you enjoy as a person?
Well, I obviously,
even if it's like series, like anything.
Series. I like series, and also reading. I love like psychology books and how the mind works and that interests me. I do like doing activities. I'll be active the whole day. I'll go for walks, and just keep myself busy outside of work. Yeah.
How is that for you, working in the gym, managing obviously your own training and all of that? Is there sometimes like a negative association around it because you're working around it and then your personal life is around it? So, you get home, you're like, oh, I need to be healthy. I've told a million people what to eat. Now I need to think about what I need to eat. Like, how is that? Has there ever been time where it's just like a bit too much of your whole day is just rooted around that?
So
I know I've gone through experiences like that.
yes. So with a part of my prep, there was quite a bit of cardio, and then obviously my training, which takes about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, depending on that. Then let's just say plus minus is an hour cardio. Then you still have your clients there the whole day, and kind of sometimes I'll go to another gym just to change environments and just get like a new fresh motivation, because being in one environment and basically doing your personal things for your goals and still training other people in that environment where it's like your workspace, it does become quite a bit. But luckily, diet is not hard for me because I have my set plan. I'll just go and prepare it. So that part I've actually learned to enjoy a lot because it gives me structure and routine. When I'm out of that, I think that's also why I felt so lost after Arnold's, because I had like a week and I was like, okay, now I'm supposed to be eating at this time, but my body is like not telling me that it's hungry. So what do I do? But I'm still like adapting to that.
Do you have a sweet tooth?
A big one. I'm like the cookie monster. It's bad.
And I think before I competed, I never ever thought about food as much as any time. The moment I started, really dieting and abstaining from certain foods, I always wonder if I hadn't gone through such extreme dieting, would I have such a sweet tooth, or would I I think maybe as humans develop, because I know people that don't compete that love food. So it's not like competing has made me love food, but I just can't ever remember loving, sweet things or that kind of stuff from when I was younger compared to how I do now.
So with me, I always had a sweet tooth, but definitely being restricted at times, or long periods of time, made me quite obsessive over it. But lately my palate has like changed with this prep. It's weird, like different preps I'll crave different things, and I've gone like more savory. But definitely when I did have like a really big sweet tooth, it would affect me a lot, because that's like all you like, there's times where that's all you're thinking about, and it makes you obsessive. And then you're scrolling on Instagram looking at recipes and the pages. But it's actually nice to not have that at the moment, because there's like,
it's not on your mind as much. Like, oh, I can't have it, I can't have it, I can't have it.
Because I know I can have it, I just choose not to now.
Which, if only you can like transmute that mindset to the competing mindset.
Yes.
Because I also, like, if I know, okay, well, I'm just going to allow myself to cheat on, let's say, Saturday and Sunday. Then when Saturday comes, I don't really need to have as much, because I know tomorrow I can also have if I really want to. Whereas if I say, okay, well, I've got one meal on Saturday, then I'm like, I need to get in as much as I can. So it's just difficult, and it's just the mind, essentially.
It is, especially when you like told you can't have something. I feel that's when you actually want it more, as opposed to knowing you can have it, but you don't feel like it, so it doesn't affect you as much.
I think that's human nature, though.
Yeah.
People say that about girls as well. I don't know. So now you're training. You say, you train 1.5 hours to 2 hours. What is your training split, within your division that you mainly focus on? And has it changed over time within your career?
So It's basically, I do weight training and cardio every day. So I'll do
Off-season cardio as well.
Yeah. But because I actually enjoy cardio, people are like, what's wrong with you? I will willingly do the elliptical, even if I'm given like walking. I enjoy moving my body, so that's just me. I grew up very athletic. I was already a dancer by the age of 3, so I'm always active. My split hasn't really changed. It has become a bit more intense over time, but that's also because, the criteria has changed a bit. The girls are a bit more muscular, and when, for stage, a bit leaner and more conditioned. So my training is basically just Monday, Wednesday, Friday is lower body, and the other days are upper body. So for the criteria on the federation that I'm going into now, it's basically glute focused, leg focused, and, shoulders, as well as like a good symmetry. But I don't know if that gives anything away, but I'm not going to say anything.
It didn't. Maybe it didn't. So
we'll just leave it there.
Well, let's move to dancing. You mentioned dancing. What type of dancing was it, and when did you stop? Did you stop because of wanting to compete?
So I started ballet when I was 3.
So that's the type of dancing, or was there
Yes,
others?
there was others, and then I did Spanish dancing from 6, and then modern contemporary as well. So I did those all the way up until high school. Just before high school, I had to stop because my knee dislocated like 2 or 3 times because of the movements. So I had to stop and get that checked. And then also going into high school, I was also, from age 6, I was a swimmer, 100-meter sprinter, and hockey player. That took up all my time. So I was doing that on national level in high school, and that's where my focus was.
So you've obviously always wanted to compete at a high level, not compete as in bodybuilding competition,
Yes.
but compete in whatever you're doing at a high level. Did you think that was naturally ingrained in you, or genetically, or was it maybe through how your upbringing? What do you think made you always want to, be at the top level of whatever you're doing?
Well, starting from a young age, doing athletics from grade 1 all the way through to matric, I was always pushed, and my parents pushed me to always do better. And I was good academically, but I preferred my sports. So I always knew that I would, that I wanted to achieve higher. And after school, when I started studying, because I actually wanted to go to the Olympics for 100 meters. That was my thing.
Cool.
But after school, things just happened and got in the way. And I started modeling, actually. And through that, and, still being in the gym every day, I was kind of I was asked quite a few times if I compete, and I didn't even know what that meant or what that was.
What year roughly was this?
This was in 2018.
Okay.
So when I was in high school, I was about 16, was the first time someone asked me if I competed. I think because I was always so athletic and, built like that. So I looked into it. I did my first show in 2020, just before lockdown. My first IFBB show, I did beach bikini. I won that one. And then I was like, okay, I enjoyed it. And then after lockdown, there were 2 other shows. I did that. I think the last one of 2020 was Summer Bodies. I won both of those in beach. The next year I moved on to Fit Model, and then last year was Fitness Bikini. So this is where I'm staying.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is it about competing that you enjoy? Is it, leading up to it and then seeing all your hard work amalgamate, or what exactly for you is it that, draws you to competing?
I think that as I said, I like the structure and the routine that it gives me, as well as just that, I feel better when you feel better about yourself, and you look better, you have more confidence, and you can conduct yourself differently. It just gives me a very positive mindset on things. So I enjoy the process of my body changing. I enjoy, obviously, the healthy eating, and I like exercise. So it just all goes together, and I enjoy it. It's essentially my life.
Do you have an addictive personality? Like, not addiction as in drugs, but
Yes.
in general, like, do you get addicted to things? Like, I know personally, I've got a massively addictive personality.
I get addicted to like certain habits, like my eating structure. I eat at certain times of the day, and like that's what I like to do. Like, I'm just very set in my ways and what I do. Some things some habits do become more addictive than others, but I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily like super, I don't have much of an addictive personality. Like, if I don't want to do something, I'll stop it.
But for you, like, if you find something that you really enjoy, let's not look at something unhealthy. If you find something that you really enjoy, do you see yourself wanting to do more of it?
Yes. Okay, well, in that sense,
Yeah.
yes.
Because, like, I know with competing, I really just enjoyed it, so I did it. Now with running, I really love running, so I did, and I'm like addicted to it. And it's a lot of time, it's all I think about.
Yes.
I'll be watching a series, and I'm like, yo, this is so cool. And it's like sometimes it's all I'm thinking about. So in that sense, like, I can definitely see I've got an addictive personality. I know personally, I am to an extent addicted to sugar, because if I have, like, I can't tell myself, like, when I was young. So when I mentioned that I didn't really have a sweet tooth, I remember some nights, like, my brother and I will beg my dad if we can just go to the garage and get one packet of sweets. Whereas now, if I'm in the garage late at night getting some sweets, it's not one packet of sweets.
No, it's not.
So I can't, like, at that, so I see that as an addiction. Like, if I can't just say, JC, one packet is enough. Why do you have to have the cookies and the donuts and
it's
the
that
this?
inner like bodybuilder. I used to. So it's funny that you mentioned that. My dad used to like take me to the shops like every evening because he also has a sweet tooth. We were in this together, and I would get like a chocolate or something sweet and then have it, and it's like you don't care. It's like out of your mind. After my first year or my second year of competing, when I would go to the shops in that like gap where I was off season, I would be like, okay, I can have chocolates and let me grab some gummies, and what if I feel like biscuits later? And then that's how the binging started, because now you have the freedom and you're like, why just have one where you can have it all?
Yeah, like, there's no reason why I can't.
Yeah.
Then obviously down the line,
Then you feel it.
when prep starts, and then you're like, I'm actually a bit behind what I should have been.
And then you have to do 30 minutes extra Stairmaster and. So it's just not worth it as well.
Yeah. So for you, what do you do? Like, because you say you enjoy cardio. Do you listen to music, podcasts, watch series?
I listen to music or podcasts. One of my favorite podcasts is Bikini and the Brain. So I'm often watching that because it's about shows, and I can relate a lot to what they're saying. So if it's relatable, I enjoy watching it. So that usually makes the time go faster.
And you yourself, because obviously you've got a lot of ladies that are following you and, get motivation from you. What are some of the most common things that like girls would DM you asking about, or, something that maybe you've just seen in the gym even that, people are most interested in knowing about, either about like tips or advice or even about you?
So I get asked quite a few times on like, just general body shaping and toning. One of the biggest things is like building the booty, like so many females message me about building glutes and, you know, can they build and stay lean kind of thing at the same time. That's pretty much what I get on the daily. Another random thing that I get asked quite a lot is where I get my lips done. And I don't get my lips done. I just need to like bring this to your attention that my lips are natural. I don't inject them and I don't get them done anyway, because also the amount of people that message me about my lips it's a lot. I get asked like at least once a week where I get my lips done, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I just don't.
You obviously don't because you don't need to, but you're not obviously against it. Like,
No,
you don't mind.
no, not
like,
at
yeah,
all.
it's just that you don't need to.
I don't need to, but I'm, you know.
If like the only reason it's you say like it like that is because like this is natural, guys. I don't need some artificial help
But
to have
also,
these
like,
kind of
I
lips.
I don't want to, like, you know, it's, if someone asks me something, like, I'm always.
Like if they asked you where'd you get your boobs done, you'd tell them because that isn't natural.
Yeah, people have asked me before and I've told them and I've, you know, referred them. But I don't have a problem with enhancing at all. I feel like if people need to do what they need to do to feel better about themselves, then they must do it.
And that's actually something that I like to say I've matured a bit on, is like there would be times where I would see someone who's maybe everyone's scale of what out of or overweight is different, but I'll leave it to people's imagination what I imagine overweight is. People might think it's worse than what I think it is, but there would be a girl who's wearing maybe something that's a bit too revealing and she's a bit overweight. And I would always be like, no, you shouldn't be wearing that. Then I started thinking, I was like, but if she feels happier and if she feels more confident wearing that, who am I to judge her just because I might think there's a bit too much fat on her? Like there's no right for me. If she feels better about herself, like who am I to think negatively about her, you know?
Yeah.
And it's difficult because, like, let's just say if there's a really, really fat guy and he's wearing short shorts and he's half his butt. Okay, that's gross.
That is next level. That's illegal.
Yeah. But I just, as I've, you know, gotten older, and it's the same essentially as the lips or boobs or whatever, like things that aren't natural, but you're doing. If you feel more confident doing it, who am I to judge? Like that girl, obviously that's her natural body and what she's wearing might be a bit like revealing, but who am I to say like needs to be skinnier to be allowed to wear that?
And I feel like, especially in modern day society and with Instagram and social media, there's like this social standard of what you need to look like, which is so wrong. And I feel that's why aesthetics and, you know, the enhancements have become so popular, because women especially are like, okay, I need to have a rounder bum or bigger boobs or this or that to, you know, look to fit society's mold. And just do you and be you. Don't listen to anyone, just block out the noise. That's just my daily advice, because I've also been there and been judged. Like everyone is just being judged. Someone actually said the other day, you put yourself on social media to be judged. And I was like, no, it's just, that's how people are.
It's gonna happen, but you're not doing like, I mean, you're trying to, let's say you're doing a post to motivate someone.
Yes.
Like, just because there's going to be judgment doesn't mean that judgment is right, like it or allowed. Or, you know, if someone comments on your photo saying you didn't look like this before you did your show, what happened? Did you stop training? Like, that's just as bad as someone commenting on now a cleaner who started a social media's page and now you poor, bro. Like, it's as unfair. It's like people, if someone commented, you know, you so poor on someone's post, people would go up in arms. But if someone says you don't look as good, no one really cares. And they're equally wrong. They're both just as wrong.
Yes. No, I agree with you. It's, social media. And as I said, it's, and I feel especially women, like someone was saying the other day, or there was a topic about wearing makeup in the gym, and it goes back to, the aesthetic things and whatever. If you need to do what you need to do to feel good in an environment or whatever, then I'm fully for it.
So there's a quote, I can't remember who it was by. It was like one of the Stoic guys. It's, today, I'm going to paraphrase, probably wrong, but today I decided to be a friend to myself. And that's essentially what we're talking about now, is also like, if you don't want to wear makeup to gym because you don't want to sweat, or because you don't want to have to redo it later, or you only want to put it on after you train to go to work or whatever, you should be also, it's difficult to get to that point, but you also should be confident enough in yourself to be like, if people want to judge me because I'm not wearing makeup at gym,
Then
like,
so be it.
that's on them.
Exactly.
If someone's judging me, that's on them. Like, if that girl that I thought was too overweight to be wearing that outfit, my judgment is on me. I have no right to judge her, because I maybe wouldn't be as confident as her if I looked that way. So I'm the one in the wrong. She's not the one in the wrong just by being slightly overweight and wearing, tiny clothes. It's me. If someone judges you, like those people that will say, you've put on weight, they probably, there's slight jealousy about how amazing you looked on show day. So now they're like, oh, finally, she's put on a little bit more weight. She's still looks better than us. She still looks a lot better than us, but she's slightly closer to looking like a normal person. So it makes them feel better. So then that judgment kind of just fuels themselves in their own hate.
I enjoy some positive criticism, and like, do tell me, like my close people, I would appreciate, and they know that I appreciate when I'm being told certain things, whether, it can be like there's something in my hair, or, whatever, if it is about weight, whatever it may be, I appreciate that. But for people not to know me and just judge me based on, what they've seen once, or, not really knowing the full story of what I go through for preps and that, I just think it's a little bit selfish isn't the word. It's just wrong.
Well, I mean, at your happiest, at your most self-actualized, have you ever wanted to comment something negative? Like, when you're the happiest you've ever been, where you feel like you're fulfilling whatever role in society or whatever thing that makes you happy, you're not going to want to spread hate.
No.
Like, when you are truly happy, there's you're secure. There's no need for you to, spread hate. So I think people also need to understand, if they're receiving hate, obviously maybe look at it, objectively, because you might think they're trying to spread hate when sometimes they're not. But if people are putting out negative comments or doing something, like, I know that guy who commented about my chipmunk cheeks, he wasn't trying to spread hate. Like, I know that guy, he's just honest.
Yeah.
So, like, I know that wasn't him being... That
was more criticism.
Yeah, that was something that I was like, okay, well, yeah, maybe I do need to lose some weight. But a lot of the time, 9 times out of 10, any comments on social media that are negative, it's because that person might not be in a good space in their life. So if you receive it, maybe don't take it as seriously, because it's not a true indication of what they're commenting on. It's maybe just an indication on them.
That's what I've learned to kind of, that's how my thought process is. But also, my most negative comments come from people that aren't even in the industry, that don't really know about the industry. So it doesn't, even if it did have to come from someone in the industry, I would just take it with a pinch of salt, because, as I said, I know me, I know what I can do, and I know I've done it plenty times before to get in shape for a show. I have that discipline. So at the end of the day, you going to bed with your own thoughts, you need to make yourself happy. other people aren't going to bring you that happiness. Maybe some people can contribute towards it, but you are in your own head most of the time. So it's all on you. If you wake up negative, you're going to have a negative day. If you wake up with positivity, you're going to have a positive day and hopefully possibly make someone else's day more positive.
And that's actually funny that you said that. I journaled that this morning, where I was listening to a podcast once with Matthew McConaughey, where he went on this, like, probably, I don't know, some mushroom trip or something, but he went on a trip by himself, and he was just saying, like, you live with yourself the most. You are with yourself the most. You are in your own head. You are the person you cannot escape. So whenever you're thinking of doing something bad, know you're going to wake up with regret. You can't escape those feelings of self-hate because you regret something, or you can't escape the feeling of shame, or you can't, like, if you spread negativity, you have to deal with your own maybe thoughts about, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that. So I think maybe every decision we make as people, we need to think about, how am I going to feel tomorrow having done this? Yes. How am I going to feel, because I can't escape myself. I know my own thoughts. And a lot of the times as humans, we have pretty dark thoughts. So we need to try and, just do right for ourselves, because we can't escape ourselves. We can't, if you do something negative, you're going to know that you did something negative. So so as you say, wake up positive, because, the only person that's going to be positive about yourself and in your own head is you. So it's up to you to be positive and just to be happier.
Exactly. And I've seen this before. I'm bringing up social media again, but there was one or two, like, people that I've seen and that compete, and every day, like, it's fine if you're having a bad day, and you rant about it once in a while, or you need to vent on social media. But this was like literally every day there was something about prep, something about this or that. And it was just like, it was so negative every day. That I was just thinking to myself, like, should I reach out and just tell this person to maybe, like, try and find another goal to be more positive? And it was the same with me, with, like, the binging at a stage where, you can do it in the moment, but then the next day you're going to wake up, or that night you're going to, like, have all these negative feelings around it, and then you're not going to feel good. So just... my advice is just do things that are going to make you internally good, because that'll radiate on the outside as well.
And I've, in terms of the cheating, because with bodybuilding, other than maybe feeling like, you've put on weight, or you're looking at yourself the next day, you can see you're holding more water, whatever. But for me, with competing, that was always easy to lose. So if I did cheat on my diet, it was relatively easy to be able, or if I cheated too much at least. Yeah, it was easy. Whereas now with, like, running, you don't want to, like, obviously if you eat too much fiber or whatever, your stomach doesn't agree with it. Whereas you can go to gym and you'll kind of be okay, you can get through a session. Whereas if you go run, you can't run properly if your stomach's messed up. So that's what's nice now. Whereas with competing, it was easy to justify cheating. Whereas, like, with doing running and stuff, it's what I'm putting in my body is going to affect how I am, how I perform tomorrow. Whereas with competing, it was actually like, I'm just going to get a better pump tomorrow. That's fine. So it's not the end of the world.
I guess.
So now, yeah.
In certain situations, I know, and this was because a while ago I released that like ebook that I made on IBS, because before competing I didn't really have, like, any digestive issues and things like that. And then I think with the very low calories for a while, and then going into, like, all the sugary things and carbs, and, like, your digestion gets a bit messed up. And a lot of females actually, when I put that out, had the same issue. I think it might be different with males and females, because even with guys, you can eat so much more and look better. Whereas if we eat more, we're either going to put on, a bit of water weight or eventually in the long term put on weight.
I think it's just hormones and maybe male, because of the more testosterone and everything in males, or like just the general difference. It's obviously, we know it's easier for men to lose weight, but maybe the gut health, it's easier for men's stomachs to process.
Because with women, I actually was quite surprised at how many women that compete have gut health issues. And it's like, I wouldn't have actually noticed if I didn't go through it myself.
And that's nice, that not to go through it, but to be able to help other people that compete and, have walked the same path that other people have walked, and to hopefully help someone else that's going to be walking the same path.
Yes.
So what's next?
So at the moment, I'm not in an off season because I mentally cannot handle that right now. I'm very happy with where I am. And I worked really hard to get to, the shape right now. I'm enjoying it. So I'm having a bit of freedom, but I'm still like strict with myself on my plan, because I have a plan. Well, my coach and I have a plan to compete in October. I was going to do July, but for me, it's still a bit too soon. I just need to have quite a break for a while just to focus on other things and do other things. So October, I might be competing. It will all depend on how I feel closer to the time. If not October, definitely next year. But October is like just it's there for
and
now.
What is that in October? What show is that? Where is it?
I don't know what the show is called exactly yet. It's going to be here, and it is an NPC show.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So, have you made that? I don't know if you've made that in terms of changing federations.
So, I haven't made it like super public yet.
But it just is there.
It's there. I think that, look, I still love Elite. And, I mean, it was essentially like who I was for, my whole competing career so far. But we both feel like we need to change. So
I think it also sparks a bit more motivation, it's more excitement. Things are different.
And also with the structures of the girls in the different federations, they are quite different. And JP and I had this discussion, and I feel like my body structure and shape is definitely more suited right now for NPC. So that's what we're going for.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's been awesome. Of course.
Awesome.
And thank you for watching, guys. Actually, if people want to train with you.
Yes.
Gold's Gym.
Gold's Gym in Sandton, but DM me on Instagram.
That'll be in the
That's
description.
Where you can find me or email me. It's also on my Instagram.
Jenna Brust, guys, not Brust.
Get it right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cool. Cheers, guys. This podcast is sponsored by Dis-Chem Living Fit, with a wide range of health products and supplements tailored to your needs. Whatever your needs are, whatever stage in your health and fitness journey you're in, Dis-Chem Living Fit has the products for you.